everyone, I hope you've been having a lovely Christmas and a good holiday season. There have been some really nice low tides over the last 6 or 7 days, and so consequently some fascinating and interesting pieces of history have been washed out with the tide onto the Thames mud. And I'll be sharing some of those with you over my next few videos. Now this video is about my mudlarking expedition on Christmas Eve. There was a really nice low tide in the morning on Christmas Eve, and it was great to be out there in that peaceful, calm atmosphere of the morning. So thank you very much for accompanying me. I'll be back later to do a little roundup, and as usual there are a few things that I could do with some help IDing. I seem to find quite a few buttons over the last few days, and several of those I'm not sure where they come from, and perhaps you might be able to help. So thank you very much, I hope you enjoy it, and see you later. Hi everyone, it's Christmas Eve and it's a very sludgy Christmas Eve. It's quite an early tide. I thought I was going to need my headlamp, but I don't. It's nearly 8 o'clock and actually the sun is on its way up, but it's that nice dusk feeling. So it's still quite calm and quiet and so peaceful, and it's quite a nice low tide as well. And there's the Christmas Eve moon up there. Oh, I think I've spotted a sign of a pike bowl here. Let's see if I'm right. It's just there. Yeah, here we go. It's a nice one. Let's pull it out. There we go. I'll give it a wash off later. Oh, it might have a maker's mark on it actually. I'm just going to clean off my pipe, which I found. See if we can see a little more of the design. It's nice. Look, I can see a button down here. It makes a change from a pipe, doesn't it? Here we are. Signs of what looks like possibly a military button. Oh, let's hope so. Let's have a look and see what it is. Turn it over. Yes, it is. It's a military button, and hopefully we'll be able to see what it is. Initial wash. Being careful, I don't want to damage it. Let's have a look. I see it is again. It's pretty delicate, but it's got like a star design on it there. You see. So we'll take that home and have a closer look there. There's a little lid here, a little brass lid. Well, it certainly seems that the Thames is throwing out a few Christmas Eve presents, because I've just looked down and seen this button, and as yet I don't know what is on the other side, so we're going to be able to find that out together. Let's hope there is something. I can feel a design on there. Let's have a look. Oh, it's beautiful. I think that's a general kind of military World War II military button, I think. And here are my crow friends. I think they've been waiting for me. They want their Christmas Eve treat. Hello, buddy. Hello. You want your breakfast again, don't you? Yeah, this is becoming a habit, isn't it? I'll see what I can do. I will see what I can do. Christmas Eve breakfast for crows. Here I can see the end of a pipe bowl. Well, I can see the heel here, or the spur, but I've noticed the very intricate design on the stem, see? Let's have a look. It could be that it's just a tiny piece of stem and the spur, but there could be a bowl under there. I'm loving that design. Just look at it. Let's have a look. I'm just going to basically take the whole chunk of mud out and see what's there. Oh, it is! It's a whole bowl. How marvellous. Right, let's go down and take the rest of the mud off. It's always exciting. Unveiling of the pipe bowl, the Christmas Eve pipe bowl. Now, I can feel that there's a design on there, which makes sense to go with the splendiferous design on the stem. Ah, yes, and it is another Masonic design. I'm going to take it home and clean it. I've got a few of those. I'm going to have to do a bit of research, a bit more research about this. But yes, that's a Masonic pipe bowl design. Now this is interesting. I just saw this, which I thought was perhaps a little lead seal for a minute, but on closer examination it is lead, but it's got like 6 little dots on it. And I found a few of these around here, and I've heard that they're like little counters that sailors, I think, or workers used to use in games, maybe some kind of gambling game, but like dice. I've got a few others. I'll take this back and see if I can find the other ones. So this one has got 6 little dots, and I found some with 2, some with 3, some with 4, so I think these must have been used in some form of game, like little counters. In fact, I've just found another one, different shape, but again, some little dots on, which seem to indicate that they could have come from some form of game. I have to do a bit of research on this, or somebody might know perhaps. I think that might be something similar. Looks like a boring piece of metal, but could have been a counter. I can see a button here. Let's see if there's anything on the other side, whether it's just a plain one. No, there is something. Oh, and it looks like a little rose. It looks like a Tudor rose there. Let's give it a little rinse, see if we can get a better look. Yeah, here we are. That's definitely a rose. I don't want to clean it any further down here in case I damage it. But it looks like there's something on the back as well. I seem to have hit a spot with a lot of these little counters in. And again, there's another one here, slightly smaller, 3 of them today. I'm going to stay here for a bit and see if I can find some more. Lovely pipe stem here with Maker's Mark on it. What have we got there? I've got woolage. And on the other side, I'm guessing it's going to be cope, because he was quite prolific with his pipe making. And I must look him up. I think that's cope, I can't quite make it out. There's some more remnants of ordnance here. It's like a squashed cartridge. Now look, here is another heel of a pipe poking very tantalisingly out of the mud, and it's also got a Maker's Mark on it there. Again, there it is. I think I'm just going to be able to pull this one out. See, oh, did you hear that? Satisfying slurpy noise of a clay pipe being pulled out of the mud. And it may well be another Masonic design. I think that there's quite a few of these around in southeast London. A lot of people, I think, used to belong to these organisations. There are a lot of workmen here. I'm just going to rinse it off, see if we can make out the Maker's Mark on it. Yeah, I think it's another Masonic design, and yeah, that looks like it was made by W. Cope, and on the other side it would have said woolage. And that black colour will fade naturally back to a nice ivory sort of creamy colour now that it's out of the mud. Another Christmas Eve pipe. Doing pretty well so far. I think this here might be a ruler. Very possibly. Yes, it is. I can see the markings on it. I'm going to give it a little rinse. Here we go. You can't really see, but I'll take it home and give it a wash. Just unearthed a nice bottle stopper here, a nice chunky one. Nothing on it to indicate where it comes from. Nice chunky stopper. I often see this pottery around, and I tend to shy away from pottery often, but I'm going to take this beast because I know it's got a particular name and I just want to look it up and find out what it is. I can't believe that I've actually just found a boxing glove on the foreshore. And of course it's Christmas Eve today, and I kind of wish I'd found this on Boxing Day. Be a lot more appropriate. What is a boxing glove doing on the Thames foreshore? Well, the tide is flying in now. It's been a wonderful Christmas Eve lark, some lovely little treasures, and I'm going to go home now and take a closer look at what I've got. Well, happy Christmas, Mr. Crow. First of all, let's look at this button here, which is a military button, and unfortunately it's so delicate. It's really suffered. In fact, since I've taken it out of the mud, it's cracked up a little. It's not in great condition, but I don't know its origins at all. It's got like a star design there that you can see. So if you do know which regiment that would have been linked to, then please let me know. I'm thinking it's probably World War I because of the age of it, but very, very delicate. It's like paper almost. It doesn't have a maker's mark on the back. Have a look. That's the back. Just like a big star. Let's have a look at these pipe bowls, which feature the symbols of Freemasonry, these Masonic symbols. There are so many of them, and the whole topic of Freemasonry is such a vast one and quite complicated, so I won't even try to cover that. But Freemasonry has certainly been around at least since the Middle Ages, and it's still around today, and it's a worldwide fraternity for men emphasising personal study, self-improvement and social betterment. And certainly the symbols on these pipe bowls are linked to the beliefs and traditions of the Freemasons. In fact, these ones are a little stained still, and it's hard to make out some of the designs, but I found a Freemason's pipe the other day, and I'm going to play you the clip of that, and I've also got it here. Oh, look what I've spotted just here, sitting right on these pebbles. It's a beautiful pipe bowl, and it looks as if it's Masonic in design. This is the pipe bowl which I found the other day, which also features the designs linked to Freemasonry, and you can clearly see on there, for example, the square and compass, and apparently the compass represents the realm of spiritual eternity, and belief in a supreme being apparently is a requirement to be a Freemason. And there's so much evidence of Freemasonry scattered along the foreshore of southeast London in particular. Not that long ago, earlier this year, I found this beautiful blob bottle seal, which came from a Freemasons' tavern in Woolwich, run by a Henry de Grey, and that dates back to about 1850. And I think that these pipe bowls probably date back to about the same time. And it would be really interesting to know a lot more about the symbols, but I think it would take a whole video to go through all that. But they are certainly very interesting. They're also made by William Cope, and I found one of his pipe stems as well on the same day, on Christmas Eve. Now, William Cope was a prolific pipe maker in the 19th century. I find quite a few of his pipes, and here's the stem I found, and it's a William Cope, a Woolwich pipe maker. in the 19th, oh, I've got it upside down, in the 19th century. So he obviously supplied the Freemasons with an awful lot of pipes. Next, let's have a look at this tiny button with what looks like a Tudor rose on it. It's really very, very pretty, very delicate. I was hoping to find the maker's mark on the back. There isn't a maker's mark, but it just says strand, treble, gilt, colour. I think it refers to the quality of the button. I'll post a photograph of it in a minute so you can have a look. Very sweet little decorative button. And now let me make a bit of space for these little counters. Here they are. So I found at least 3 or 4 of these on Christmas Eve, and then I went on to find even more on the subsequent days. And I've got a real mixture here of these really lovely little lead tokens, and they're so sort of, what's the word, tactile. There's something about them. I can just imagine men playing with these, you know, perhaps using them as gambling tokens back in the 19th century. I'd say probably early 19th century. But there's even a tiny, tiny one here, using them a bit like dice, but I don't know a whole lot about them at all. So if you do know anything more specifically what they would have been used to play, then please do let me know. We've got a 5 here, 3 there, another 3, a 6. Certainly some kind of counter. This pipe here, which I found early on in my expedition, so it's faded nicely now, but that is also made by William Cope. You can just see the end of Witch there, which would have been Woolwich, and then on the other side, the beginning of Cope. So interesting, all these pipes that I found today and the piece of pipe stem all indicate that William Cope was a very busy pipe maker. And here is my large chunky glass bottle stopper. It must have been quite a large bottle to have a stopper like that. Here is the little brass lid to I don't know what. This piece of pottery I have found out is mockerware, 19th century, and that interesting design there is achieved by dropping acid onto the alkaline base colour, which creates that interesting effect, the reaction between the acid and the alkaline. This here is, I think, also a piece of ordnance, or the remainders of it. It's very damaged and sort of paper thin. I might be wrong, but if you do know, please let me know. Here's my wooden ruler. It's in very good condition, considering it's dried out now. You can see the markings on there, actually, on that side and on this side too. And lastly, here is the General Service military button, except it isn't the one that I found on Christmas Eve. And why is that? Well, I'm just about to show you. Well, I'm just going to admit to something very silly, which I did. I took that little military button out of my pocket to give it a wash, and I dropped it. And now the tide's come in, and there's just absolutely no way I'm going to find it. So that is a great shame and a good lesson to be a little more careful in the future. So yes, a bit of a lesson to learn there. That button will be for a future mudlark, undoubtedly, and actually the back of this button is completely different, as you can see. But I found this one a couple of years ago, and I think it is pretty much identical, apart from the back. It's also general service, a military button, probably from World War II, I expect. Thank you very much for watching, everyone, and don't forget, if you do have any information on any of these finds, in particular this military button here, I shall put a photograph on in a minute, this piece of ordnance, if indeed it is ordnance, and any information on the type of games that might have been played using these tokens, and of course any additional info on the Freemasons, always welcome. So I'm very, very pleased with this Christmas Eve haul, and I hope you all have a very good weekend and see you again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Half asleep in between, on my way to the round of the living. Seek your eyes right here beside. Would you come with me? Sun's rising and we go for the seekers. There's a way. Come today, let a heavy mind face the open. On the ground, life will be found. Let me guide your feet to the ocean, and we go for the seekers. Darling, let the river run, let the morning come.